All right, welcome back. I guess I have a soft spot in my heart for the city of Port St. Lucie. That's one of the last places that my mother, my dear mother, lived, in the city of Port St. Lucie, and I have a cousin who lives up there in Port St. Lucie. So whoever ends up being the mayor of Port St. Lucie should have some plan for a city that started out as a tiny little sleepy burb and has now grown into quite a big city. So I've invited Michael Moses on. He is running for mayor for the city of Port St. Lucie, and I thought I'd give him an opportunity to let you listeners up there know why he thinks he should be the mayor. How are you, sir?
How are you, Joyce? I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to the voters of Port St. Lucie, and don't hang it up like you just said, because we need people like you talking about the truth and what's happening in this country and what's happening in Florida. It's
hard. It's hard to do this. This is my 33rd year, and, it just keeps getting worse. So there are days, when I think maybe it's time to just, go sit on a porch somewhere and rock in a rocking chair. But my brain won't let me do that yet. Port St. Lucie, I've watched it grow from a very sleepy little burg, getting, 2 exits that I was very familiar with. I would take 95 or I'd take the turnpike up there to visit my mom back in the early 2000s. And, boy, it's a big city now. A lot more people living there.
Yeah, there's over like about 220,000 people living here now, and it's really growing. And I'm running for mayor because I don't think the current mayor is doing a good enough job with the growth and the traffic. And, of course, we had a problem with Waste Pro, and which was our garbage, our waste provider, and things are not going as well as they should be or could be. And I have the experience and knowledge. I've lived here about 11 years. I've been married for 41 years, 3 children, 3 grandchildren. I was retired as an attorney from Illinois. I did work in the comptroller's office, where I learned about government and finance and contracts. I worked in the assistant state's attorney's office, where I did the health division, protecting people in nursing homes, daycare centers. And then I became the attorney for the sheriff of Cook County, where I did the union contracts and basically helped the sheriff in all the legal matters. Then I was in private practice for about 18 years, where I just helped people in the neighborhood. So I have the qualifications. And I became involved with the government of Port St. Lucie because Waste Pro was failing to pick up the garbage, basically, and pick up the yard waste and pick up the bulk waste. Mm-hmm. We had a special election last September 2021 where the mayor said that she won in the election basically by saying, I'm going to cure the problem. And she didn't cure the problem. In fact, she made it worse because now next month we're having a new waste haul provider. We're getting less service for more money. So we used to pay like about $200 a year for everything to get picked up, and now we're going to pay over $400. And we used to get garbage pickup twice a week. Now it's going to be once a week. We used to have unlimited yard waste. And now it's going to be limited, and you have to pay extra. So I'm the only candidate that went to the city council starting in January 2022 and said, listen, you're not doing the right thing. This is going to end bad for the people of Port St. Lucie. I'd say half the city is seniors living on fixed incomes. And then, of course, we have people living on, paycheck to paycheck and other people that are just making ends meet. And for her to make decisions, for the city council to make decisions that make people pay more than they should, it's a tragic for them, and I think I can do a better job.
Well, it sounds like you've really, thought about this, particularly this one aspect with the waste management, and having come from a controller's office, you know exactly how these contracts are usually designed and how there's a whole lot of shenanigans that go on in these smaller city governments. And, how do you stay above that?
Right. Well, let me say this. Here's a good example. So once the city stopped paying Waste Pro, And Waste Pro said, well, if you're not paying us, we're leaving. What this administration did, instead of finding a new waste hauler, they went out and had a $4.8 million no-bid contract to buy the garbage carts, which would take 10 years to pay off. After they finalized that contract, then they looked for a waste hauler. So you would think at a time of high inflation and high diesel prices, you get a short contract for a couple of years. Hopefully, the cost would come down. But they had to have a contract with the waste hauler for 10 years. It's a 7-year contract with a 3-year extension, because if we had gotten a contract with the waste hauler for just 4 years, and then the new waste hauler says, well, I don't need your carts, we'd be paying for the new waste hauler carts and the ones we bought that we'd still be paying for. So I don't understand these no-bid contracts. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why they did that in that order. But I also understand you can't run a campaign just based on negativity. So my idea, and I think the problem in Port St. Lucie, as you mentioned, we're growing, is traffic and growth. And I think that's also in most cities in Florida. So my suggestion was, and what I've told people, is I'm going to have meetings throughout the city to find out how much undeveloped land is in your area, who owns it, and how is it zoned. Because right now the developers have that information, but the people don't. And then you can decide if someone wants to change zoning, well, then we can fight it and say, no, this is not our quality of life issue. We want to know what's going on. Because when I've been campaigning, that's what people have been saying, just the garbage issue and also what's going on with the traffic and growth. I don't understand. What about the greenland? What about the animals? What's happening here?
Yeah. But I think I think you know what's happening, particularly if you came from Illinois. What's happening is people get into political power and they become, very disconnected from the public. And they begin to make these, decisions, not based on what's best for their constituents, but based on what's best for them. And it's a dangerous, it's a dangerous formula, but I see it all over the country. I see it very much so where I live in Broward County. And so, going in there and being a Cape Crusader sounds great, but are you ready to do this in retirement?
I'm ready, or else I would not be running. Because it's only going to get worse. I mean, as I said earlier, this mayor won the special election. She's only been in office for 9 months. Now she wants a 4-year term. If her philosophy is to raise taxes and give us less service on this issue, that's probably her idea of good government for other issues. And I live here. This is my city. I'm not just going to keep quiet. I'm going to tell people what I think. I'm going to tell people we can make this a great city to live in. And that's what I put myself up for, to run the election. And hopefully, I'll win. But I just can't keep quiet. I just can't, let things happen and then just pretend they're not happening, and whatever happens, happens. And I know people moved here from other states to get away from higher taxes and to get away from this type of government that we have here. And I felt I should say something. And that's why I'm running.
I know, and I know that I saw on your website, on your Michael Moses for Mayor PSL.com, that one of the other things that you are, talking about is the fact that people are taking money from these developers left and right as campaign contributions. Right. And then how do you judge, how do you make decisions when you're in the pocket? And that's not to say that I don't think corporations should be allowed to make contributions. I certainly do think so. But when it directly affects decisions, there has to be some transparency.
I agree. I'm not taking money from developers. And, of course, they're raising more money than I am, or the mayor is, and or other people on the council. But I don't think it's right. One thing I would like to see, if I get elected, is an ordinance that if you do business with the city, you cannot contribute money to any candidate that's running for mayor on the city council. I also want to change the at-large way we do voting in this city. Right now, it's at-large. Everybody votes for every representative from every district. I would rather just have the people, like, for example, in District 1, vote for the representative in District 1. And I went to the city council, and I said, let's change the charter. Of course, they didn't do it. They just looked at me. But I said, because it'd be less expensive for people to run. It might bring more diversity. More people would run. And if everybody running would have good ideas for the city, that'd be great for the city. And if I am elected, I will put that on the ballot in November and let the people decide whether or not we should have single-member districts.
Well, it sounds like you have some great ideas. And again, if you came from probably one of the most corrupt, counties in the country, you've probably seen it all and will be alert about that. If anybody needs more information, give out your website so they can get in touch with you.
Well, it's Michael Moses for Mayor, PSL.com, and my Gmail is Michael Moses for Mayor, PSL@gmail.com, and I appreciate it. I want to tell you something. You are putting out local candidates. I know you had someone from the state running for state rep yesterday, and I think all the candidates and all the people appreciate it because nobody else seems to be doing it.
I know.
So thank you very much.
It's a shame. It's so important because all politics is local, and people keep their eyes focused on what's happening in D.C., but it's our communities that we can actually impact the most, as you're trying to do in Port St. Lucie. Good luck to you. Stay in touch and let me know how it's going.
I will. Thank you for having me. Take care.
All right.